You remember arcade rooms back in the late 80s, early 90s. Dark corners, screens glowing, machines making noise like they're alive, someone always behind you, someone always waiting for you to lose. And that's the thing, you usually did. You'd lose, step back, watch the next guy try, and somewhere in that mess of matches, you'd start picking things up without even realizing it. Actually, try this for a second. Imagine you've never heard of Street Fighter 2. You walk into one of those arcades, see this crowd around a machine, and you've got no idea what's going on. You put a coin in anyway. You pick a character. Round starts, and within seconds, you're getting hit by things you don't understand and immediately get humbled. You try something, it fails. You try again. Slightly better. Then you look at fighting games now. They explain everything, and it still doesn't land like this. This is Street Fighter 2, arcade, 1991. Loud room, sticky buttons, someone breathing down your neck, waiting for your loss. That's the environment this thing was built for, and it shows. Here's the idea. This game teaches you without teaching you. It doesn't explain anything. It just lets you fail in very specific ways until your brain starts connecting dots. And weirdly, that ends up being more effective than most modern tutorials, because now you carry that into other games without thinking about it. Timing, patience, reading what's in front of you, stuff this game never explained, but somehow taught anyway. So, it is 1991 and you've never heard of this game. You pick Ryu. Everyone picks Ryu because he feels safe. You mash a bit, you punch, you kick, you jump, you're moving, you're doing stuff, it feels okay. Then the opponent throws a fireball and you freeze. You try to jump, but it's too late. You take it. Then you walk forward. Another fireball. Now you're stuck. You block one by accident and you think, wait, I can do that. That's lesson 1. The game didn't tell you to block. It made you discover it because getting hit feels bad enough, and it keeps going. You try jumping in again. This time you get kicked out of the air. Hard. You land, try it again, same result. Now you're thinking, maybe jumping isn't free. The game never says that. It just punishes you until you stop doing dumb things. That's the teaching method. Pain, but polite. And here's where it gets interesting. Special moves aren't explained either. There's no move list flashing on screen. You either know them, heard about them, or you accidentally do one and feel like you just unlocked a cheat code. You throw your first Hadouken and it sticks in your brain forever because you earned it. Even if it was an accident, it feels like your discovery, and once you know one move, you start trying things. Quarter circles, weird inputs, holding directions longer than feels normal. The game turns you into someone experimenting instead of someone following instructions. That's a big shift. Modern games love telling you exactly what to do, but this one just lets you figure it out. And somehow, that creates more engagement. Now, not everything is perfect. Some parts fight you more than they should. There are moments where it just feels stubborn. Yeah, this thing can be rough. It doesn't always play nice. The input timing is strict. Sometimes you know what you want to do, but your hands don't agree. You try a dragon punch and get a sad little jump instead. The game shrugs and you get punished. It can feel unfair because it kind of is, but that strictness does something important. When you finally land the move, you trust it. You know it wasn't random. It came out because you did it right. And that builds confidence in a weird way. The game feels consistent even when you're not. Then the AI shows up and ruins your day. This thing reads you. You jump, but it already decided you shouldn't have. You stick out a limb and it counters like it knew 5 seconds ago. You start feeling paranoid, but that pressure forces adaptation. You stop throwing random moves, you wait, you bait. You learn spacing without even knowing that's what you're doing. The game never says control space, it just makes reckless play miserable. And yeah, you notice it. You start playing slower, more deliberate. You're watching the opponent instead of yourself. That's a huge shift, and the game pulled it off without a single line of text. Characters play into this too. Ryu and Ken are your entry point. Straightforward, readable. Chun-Li is fast and slightly annoying. You start realizing speed changes how you think. Zangief is the opposite. Big, slow, terrifying up close. Pick Zangief and suddenly your whole game plan changes. You're not reacting anymore. Now you're hunting. One grab and it's over. So now spacing feels different. Risk feels different. The game quietly teaches that playstyles exist. No tutorial screen saying, this is a grappler. You just feel it. And then there's the arcade part of all this. You're not alone. Someone's watching, maybe judging, maybe waiting to take your spot. That pressure changes how you play. You play tighter. Or you panic completely and forget how blocking works. Both happen. That environment turns learning into a performance. You're trying to figure things out, and you're doing it in public. That sticks with you way more than practicing alone in a menu. Here's the weird contradiction, though. The game is great at teaching, but terrible at explaining. If you miss something, the game doesn't help. You just keep losing until something clicks, or you walk away. There's no safety net. So, yeah, some players bounce off completely, and that's fair. But the ones who stay, they get pulled in deeper, because every improvement feels personal. You didn't follow instructions. You figured something out by yourself. That's a strong hook, and it leads to another thing. The game respects your time in a very blunt way. Rounds are quick. You mess up, it's over. No long resets, no drawn-out animations. You're back in immediately. Failure is fast. That keeps you engaged. You don't sit there thinking about what went wrong for 5 minutes. You try again instantly. The loop stays tight. And because everything is so stripped down, you notice details. The sound when a hit lands, the pause before a knockout, the way characters react to damage, it all feeds into that learning loop. You feel what worked and what didn't. Then you hit the bosses, and everything we just talked about kind of breaks. M. Bison doesn't care about your learning process. He has his own rules. You try playing smart, but he flies across the screen anyway. You block, but he's already behind you. It feels like the game suddenly changed languages. It's frustrating. But even that teaches something. The game is built for challenge first, fairness second. It wants your coins. It pushes you hard enough that you either adapt or give up. That design doesn't fly today. People would riot. But back then, it made every win feel huge and expensive. And that's the trade-off. You can still play this now. It's everywhere. Collections, digital stores, probably running on something you already own. You don't need the arcade setup anymore, but you lose something without it. No crowd, no pressure, no one silently judging your terrible jump-ins. You're left alone with the system, which is still solid, but a little less intense. Coming back to the idea, this game proves you don't need to explain everything to teach something. It builds knowledge through consequence. You learn because you have to, and because of that, the lessons stick harder than anything a tutorial could say. Street Fighter 2 didn't care if you understood it immediately. It cared that you kept trying. And if you did, it slowly turned you into a better player without ever saying a word. That's kind of rare now. Anyway, if you boot this up and lose 10 matches in a row, yeah, that's normal. That's the tutorial. You just didn't get a pop-up for it. If you stick around long enough to throw that first clean Hadouken on purpose, you'll get it. And if you don't, that's fine too. Just don't start blaming the buttons. I've tried that. It doesn't work. If you like this kind of breakdown, hit like and subscribe. It helps the channel, and it gives me an excuse to keep doing this. As for me, I'll probably still be here getting hit by the same Hadouken. See you on the next one.